CBS News Miami.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Najahe Sherman, and welcome to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Off the top, new details. A teacher was rushed to the hospital. He was assaulted by a student. CBS News Miami's Joan Murray reports from Deerfield Beach.
A teacher here at Bright Horizons Center is at home recovering after authorities say she sustained a laceration to her ear after being cut by a student. That student is now in juvenile assessment, charged with attempted felony murder. Now, this all unfolded about 9 o'clock in the morning. This is a school for children with disabilities requiring a lot of extra special attention. And according to authorities, this student somehow came after the teacher and cut her with an object. According to the Broward Teachers Union, that student was armed with a pair of scissors and chased the teacher out of the classroom down the hall. Right now, we understand that the teacher went to the hospital. She was treated and is at home recovering. That student again at juvenile assessment, and he has been charged with attempted felony murder. In Deerfield Beach, Joan Murray, CBS News, Miami.
Joan, thank you. Miami-Dade police are investigating a deadly crash. They say it began when people in two vehicles started shooting at each other. CBS News Miami's Terry Hornstein has those details.
6 in the morning, people getting ready for school and everything, but you hear lum, 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 and you're scared.
A violent morning in Northwest Miami-Dade. According to detectives, people inside two cars started shooting at each other as they sped down Northwest 27th Avenue. Eventually, one of the cars would crash near 79th Street.
I heard a shooting and then a lot of stuff shouted on me. And I saw a big crash.
My heart was like pumping fast.
Inside that car, a man and woman. The man died on the scene from gunshot wounds. The woman wasn't hit, but was taken to the hospital.
Officer did start doing CPR on him when they moved his body and put him on the floor. They did CPR. He didn't come back.
She was in the car saying, help me, get me out of here.
Another man in another car also rushed to the hospital in serious condition.
My friend, we grew up around the city, man.
People we spoke to say this is somehow connected to prostitution. Information police have not confirmed.
It's a woman that's standing here every night. She's there every night.
From overhead before daylight and from the ground after the sun came up, police at several different intersections in the area trying to figure out what led up to the chaos and all the gunfire.
I wish this whole thing could have been prevented, man. And we see this every day, every night.
Always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
And a live look outside. It looks beautiful, but record heat is back in South Florida, highs reaching the mid-90s. Let's get right to Next Weather meteorologist Cindy Pressler with the details on this scorcher.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. 94 degrees is what we have so far, and that ties the record high. That was set way back in 1944, so this one has been sitting for quite a while. Humidity, not as high as it could be, but it is adding to the way it feels. Very sticky out there. So 93 degrees at this point, 90 at Homestead. Fort Lauderdale at 90 degrees. The Keys also very warm. A couple of showers hanging over in Broward County, but it feels like it's still in the triple digits. So remember when we were feeling like 110, 112 degrees, at least we're not at that level. So it always can be a little bit worse. We have a northeasterly wind today, and that's pushing our boundaries off to the west. We have some showers and storms that developed over Palm Beach County. These have produced some strong storms up there, a lot of lightning, some heavy downpours, and some gusty winds. They're migrating off to the southwest because of that northeasterly flow. So that's where the boundaries are going to carry these storms this afternoon. Also a few setting off to the very southern portions of Monroe County, but overall we'll have a few storms popping up. At least our modeling is showing that. 5 o'clock, 6, 7 o'clock, you might find a shower here and there, but really focusing on the interior and the west side. Now tomorrow, winds will be out of the northeast, and you might even find a northwesterly flow if you get out to the western side of Broward and Miami-Dade counties. So look where these storms end up by the afternoon across southern Miami-Dade and Monroe County, getting down into the upper Keys. That'll be in the afternoon. Same thing again as we move into 7 o'clock. They begin to die off, but 9, a couple more. So we'll see a little bit more shower and thunderstorm activity going into tomorrow, and definitely as we head into Thursday again. More moisture starting to work its way in here. We've got a frontal system that wants to slide south, and that's going to give us that better chance to pick up showers and thunderstorms. So it's the sea breezes and the outflow boundaries. Here comes that front front. Not sure how far south that's going to get, but it will draw moisture northward. So our chance for rain will be up to about a 60% chance Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we'll have a good chance for some rain. Lee, still a hurricane, but hasn't moved a whole much at all today. Expecting this to weaken as it moves into cooler water. Plus, you know, it's just kind of falling apart the farther north it goes, so it will start expanding. But the folks up here in the New England states and, of course, parts of Canada are going to see a lot of rain, wind, and the possibility of some gusty, some high wind and surf there. Next one coming in, that one is going to be Nigel. We'll be tracking that possibly into next week. As far as we are concerned, temperature is hot for the next couple of days, record heat, and then higher rain chances going into the weekend.
All right, thank you, Cindy. Republicans say they plan to move ahead with a possible impeachment of President Biden. This comes as Congress is already battling a tight deadline to keep the government running. CBS News Miami's Skylar Henry joins us live from Washington, D.C. Skylar, Speaker Kevin McCarthy is directing House committees to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. So what exactly are Republicans accusing President Biden of?
Well, the evidence, Naja, that Speaker Kevin McCarthy says that it was uncovered by Republicans during the course of this investigation is both serious and credible. It's why he's saying that essentially that the president benefited financially from his son Hunter Biden's business dealings, and this is why he is launching this formal impeachment inquiry. Now, the leaders of these committees, the GOP chairs, put out a statement about an hour and a half ago talking about the evidence that was uncovered. That's oversight, that's Ways and Means, and also Judiciary, talking about what they have been able to uncover, and also citing the two IRS whistleblowers who testified in front of lawmakers earlier this year, who ultimately said that not only did Hunter Biden receive preferential treatment in terms of their investigation, but they were waived off pursuing any leads that could potentially implicate President Biden in terms of his relationship with his son Hunter and those business dealings. Now, the White House has come out against this. They've said for months that the president has not benefited in any way, especially financially, from his son's business moves. In fact, one of them, one of the communications members, put out something on Twitter earlier today, ultimately saying that criticizing the move, but then also criticizing the fact that House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said just earlier this month that he would put a vote out on the House floor, seeing if there was enough support for this impeachment inquiry, and ultimately that did not happen, and that he has signaled that he is seemingly deciding to bypass all of that and actually moving forward with this impeachment inquiry altogether. Now, the reason why that matters is that Speaker McCarthy is facing a lot of criticism from not only Democrats, but some of the more far-right members of his party as well, who have ultimately said that if this impeachment inquiry does not happen, then they will remove him from his speakership role. So a lot for him to handle as well. And as you mentioned, the government is going to run out of money in a couple of weeks as well.
And Skylar, speaking to that, how long does Congress have to pass the spending bill? And what happens if they miss that time frame?
Right, and so there is an October 1 deadline that Congress has to meet in terms of trying to get a spending bill passed. The White House has called for what's referred to as a continuing resolution or stopgap bill in order for the government to have enough cash to pay its bills, at least for a few months, so that lawmakers will be able to at least negotiate some of the sticking points of what they want to see in the spending bill. We know that some of the more far-right members of the party want to see significant cuts, but then also more funding to everything from border security, but then also addressing what they were referring to as the weaponization of the Justice Department. And we talked about the slim majority that Speaker McCarthy and Republicans have in the House altogether. That also includes some of the support for his speakership role. And so while you also have lawmakers that are out there that were threatening to, if this impeachment inquiry weren't going to happen, then they would remove Speaker McCarthy from his speaker role. They've also said that if this inquiry didn't happen, then they wouldn't support any sort of resolution that would continue to float the government as well. And so a lot that he has to juggle, as lawmakers have to juggle this as well. The implications of that, we've seen this before. There could be everything from furloughed government workers to stops and services, national parks, trash pickup, even passport applications and things like that. And so lawmakers are going to have to scramble in order to try to get things done as quickly as possible.
Age has become an issue in this presidential contest. Should voters worry about the ages of President Biden and former President Donald Trump?
I think that's absolutely legitimate concern. The presidency is not a job for someone that's 80 years old, and there's nothing, wrong with being 80. Obviously, I'm the governor of Florida. I know a lot of people who are elderly. They're great people, but you're talking about a job where you need to give it 100%. We need an energetic president, and I think that if the founders could kind of look at this again, I do think they probably would have put an age limit on some of these offices. I mean, it seems like our leadership class now in Washington, 75, 80 plus years old is where those folks are. And I think Americans, if Biden's the Democrat nominee, I'm the Republican nominee, I think there's going to be a lot of Americans that are going to want to see a generational passing of the torch.
And you were just listening to a section of an interview on the political front. CBS Evening News anchor Norah O'Donnell interviewed Florida Governor Ron DeSantis earlier today. That's as we inch closer to the November 2024 elections. You were just listening to a preview clip from the interview, and we're going to have much more on the story tonight on CBS News Miami at 5:30. When we come back, it's official. Enter Miami's Lionel Messi has a South Florida mansion. A look at his new home after the break. Welcome back to CBS News Miami's 4 p.m. Quickcast, and take a look at that. Enter Miami's Lionel Messi is officially a South Florida resident. He just bought a waterfront mansion in Fort Lauderdale for a whopping $10.75 million. The 10,500 square foot home is in the community of Bay Colony, has 8 bedrooms, 9.5 bathrooms, and a 3-car garage and a pool. Messi and his family moved to South Florida in July. Thank you for joining us.